All right, part two. Ooh. Well, I'll just rattle the whole world right now. All right, so at this point, like I said, you were, I think you were asking about stitching. So I'm going to assume at this point that you understand that the gray piece had mesh iron to it, and then that that outer shell, that layer was taken off, and I put it on to the base layer, which is the purple. That's the tunic, and then ironed on. Um, I was highly recommended Wonder Under. There's different kinds of meshes. You can get light, you can get medium, you can get heavy. Kind of just changes, kind of like the difference between Elmer's and super glue and DAP, right? So I'm assuming that you kind of have a mesh. You're here already. You're here at this point, right? And just kind of tips and things to keep in mind as you applique things and as they go along. I wanted to show you running this like the straight line, and like how I set up my machine up, right? I will in the previous video, in the theory one, I told you practice, right? Just to show you, I ran the width and I liked it, and it's a little curvy right now. Don't worry too much about that. This will run straight, or as straight as I need it to run, right? Practice, kind of get to know your settings. Each machine is going to be slightly different. Always do a little bit of a practice run to just kind of know what it's going to look like on the other side. And especially when you're trying to make a really detailed tunic, can't recommend that enough. Just do those little steps. If you're watching a YouTube video and they're like, pin everything 1 inch away, some people skip that stuff, but they are steps for a reason, right? So that's something to keep in mind, right? As you can see, this is my foot, and this is a specific, literally doing satin stitch. I think it's literally called an applique foot. It's that you can see where your fabric is and as it goes along, and I've set it up to my starting point where you'll see that my needle is down, and right on that little, it's not quite on the gray, it's in the purple, but it's right on that edge, right? That's where I want to start. That's where I recommend everybody kind of start. I don't know where that's the whole point. That's what we're here to do, is to do this overlapping stitch, that the mesh is not the only thing holding the fabric in place, right? You want to sew it down. Again, if you're worried about the fabric moving as you do this, you can run a basic stitch on the edge, right? To just make sure that it stays in place, right? Again, I did not do that here. That's just me, right? Highly recommend you do it if it'll, like I said, give you a little bit more confidence on your end result, right? So yeah, needle down, the foot's down, everything's set to go. Again, I'm also assuming you have basic awareness of how to use your machine, and then off we go. For the record, and I did this in I think my basic sewing machine class, I have a Singer heavy duty. I wanted to take a moment and talk about some things that I've heard kind of over the years, over some time, that like products end up being amazing the better the equipment that you have, right? You're a fighter. We both fight all the time, right? If you're given a completely top heavy sword, your performance is going to suffer, right? If you have a 20-ounce brick versus the guy with the latest tournament stick, right? You can definitely see the results. But depending on what kind of sticks that you have and your personal preferences, those differences can become marginal. My point being is that I have a Singer heavy duty and I do most all of my sewing on it. I think the result's pretty good. One day, am I gonna get a $14,000, can embroider and do all of the, it's got a, computer that's better than my phone. One day I hope so, because I want that for myself one day. Do I have to have it to make really cool garb or to do really good applique? No, right? Some tips that I will throw out there that will make the results better is, again, like, this will help you see, right, this foot. If you use different kinds of needles, using a gigantic, what they're called denim needles. They're thicker because they're reinforced, because, as you guessed, it's trying to go through heavier fabric like denim or light suede, right? And some people put straight up leather into these things. The heavy duty has a reinforced frame that it's designed for that, but you also have to have the right needle. Okay. And then the thread that I'm using, watching several videos, one of them being Miss or they, excuse me, Runa down south makes amazing garb, very highly recognized, highly recommended trying to use a thread that is viscose, right? I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but essentially it's rayon. You can find it in stores. It's rayon. It has a shinier finish. It's more used for things like embroidery or thread that's used to do, I'm trying to describe it, like embroidery. It's used for embroidery. I in terms of like the way I think about it in my brain is like, when you're going to poke a lot of holes in your fabric to add thread, viscose is a good choice, right? But yeah, it's just, again, it's got like a nice finish. It's kind of got a shine to it. It stands out from the color of your fabric, where I kind of think of the fabric more in terms of like, I'm like, not matte. I'm gonna forget the word. You'll see the difference, and I think it's significant. So I've been using rayon and viscose. You don't have to, depending on what you want to do, and you just want it to match. Use your basic cotton. It works fine, right? Anyway, enough of that. I'm gonna sew now. Right? And I'll show you, and I'll be able to show you what I mean, right? With the finish and the contrast between the fabric and the thread. Okay, so again, straight line, super nice and simple and easy. My hands are here to guide, right? And we are going to let the machine do pretty much most of the work. Now, my machine has a nice little handy button. It's gonna do a little tie, and on the other side, I like to do multiple, because I'm just like that. Okay, and then I control it again, where when I start to press down on my pedal, I like to start it on this side. It's a comfort thing, and there we go. Okay, I got a button and it works. Okay, so, and here we go. I'm gonna start off slow. I'm guiding, I'm kind of applying a little bit of tension on the back. I think for me, that just kind of makes me think that I'm helping it along. I'm not really pulling, right? If you've ever driven a Tesla and put it on autopilot, you have to keep your hand on the wheel. That's how that feels right now to me, okay? All right, we're gonna slow down a little bit. If you saw a little bit, it started to get away from me a little bit, to where this needle on the right side was about to go into the gray. I don't want it in the gray, I want it in the purple. Right? And there we go. All right, we're just moving right along. Keep the fabric up here. With a straight line, again, you're just kind of keeping it on its tracks, right? It's just gonna do most of the work itself. All right, I'm gonna pause it And then when I get to the corner, we'll tackle the corner. All right. So it only took a minute or so, right? But these long lines can, these long running lines can get a little tedious to just watch. So, all right. So this is what I was talking about, like the difference of look, right? And you'll be able to see this in person, and like, you know, again, this shiny finish against the red, right? If you do a good job on the corner, nice and sharp, it really kind of helps stand out, and like just the result is just night and day. That's the benefit of what this looks like, using the rayon thread instead of just cotton. Again, you know, this is a creative activity. If you want it to look not shiny, right? You want it to look just cotton, and it's just on there. Again, great, cool, do your thing, right? Here's the corner, as you can see, right? I'm going to do my best to not earthquake the camera, but I want to kind of zoom out a little bit and show you my settings, right? This is the speed, and you can see it's like a little bit up there. I almost never put it all the way to the right at its fastest of where it's moving. But when I do something like approach a corner like we are right here, I will slow it down, right, just a little bit. This is like the max speed that'll go regardless of if I've got the pedal all the way down. I like to slow it down. That way I can get nice, sharp as best I can. So I'm either gonna look really awesome or embarrass myself right now. Right? Okay. So again, I turned it down, again, needle down. I always finish running thread, running a stitch, and then finish with the needle down in case I need to make some adjustments. If I need to like lift the foot for any reason, the needle stays in place. That's, for me, that's like a general sewing tip I think is just really good. Only raise the needle when you know you're good, and because the fabric might move on you and you got to like find that spot again. Okay, and so here we go, right? Slowing it down. I always slow down on the approach to a corner because you want to be accurate with where the stitching will stop, right? And again, the needle down. So once again, from the previous video, we're gonna want it to stop on the outside here of the turn. So if this is the turn, this is the outside, and if this is the inside, right? Okay. So nice and easy, nice and straight. Slow it down, and here we go. Here's the corner, and one more. Boom, down. Cool. Right? Again, nice, good, accurate, and you want it on the outside because what we're going to do is we're going to leave the needle down, foot up, right? And then we're going to turn the fabric. Okay, right? Turn the fabric. Okay, and then, whoop. Okay. And then continue on. I paused there for a second. I definitely just hit a button and I gotta find my settings again, which is not a good spot to be in, but do not fear.